The majority of individuals are unaware of the reality of addiction, one secret that has the potential to liberate you if you let it. However, you will only see it if you watch until the very end. Don't turn away, since you can be caught indefinitely if you miss this. Battles you can't see probably have a greater impact on your life than you realize. Scrolling through your phone late at night, eating, drinking, smoking, and other addictions are all examples of behavior. It is the war within you that is ancient. A conflict between your wants and needs, between comfort and bravery, between the shadow and the self. According to Carl Jung, addiction is a sign, a communication from the soul, rather than a weakness. To prevent confronting their own souls, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, he said. You are caught, not by laziness or lack of willpower, the worry of encountering your true self in the dark. Assume you're the only person in the room. The planet is sleeping. The itch is a subtle impulse to go toward anything that seems like it might alleviate the agony. You are aware that it will not last, but for a little while you only want respite. You light the cigarette. The app is opened. You pour the beverage. In the hopes of forgetting the emotions you're working so hard to avoid, you get lost for a bit. But after the thrill comes the collapse, the shame, and the solemn commitment to refrain from doing it again. Why do I continue doing this, even when I know how it will turn out? The majority of people view cravings as foes, monsters to be killed or hidden away. However, Jung's viewpoint reverses everything. He believed that every urge, every compulsion is a messenger, a component of your mind attempting to express a truth that your waking self has chosen to ignore. Consider it. What would you need to numb if you were completely satisfied and complete? What would you have to do in order to get out? The agony of the soul expresses itself in cravings. Addiction is more than just about routines or substances. It's about what's lacking in your life. There is no contest of physical prowess. It's a conundrum of meaning. The reason so many people fail is because of this. They prioritize discipline, but they never ask, what is this urge trying to tell me? What part of me have I locked away in the basement, hoping it will disappear? The shadow in Jung's psychology encompasses everything you've suppressed, denied, and are embarrassed to admit, even to yourself. The more you conceal your shadow, the stronger it becomes. Addiction is the shadow's preferred disguise. It seems like comfort, but it thrives on your silence. You think all I want to do is unwind. I just want to feel good. I only want to quit thinking for a bit. Underneath the shadow whispers, though, is the statement, you're not enough. You are alone. You will never change. All addictions hide pain. The majority of individuals spend their lives rearranging the mask, failing to see that the actual change starts only when you have the guts to peek behind it. Our society is obsessed with self-control. Say no. Be strong. However, if that were the case, you wouldn't be in this place. The shadow is not defeated by force. It is only transformed by attention, Jung would say. Think of attempting to force a beach ball beneath the surface. The more pressure you apply, the more it resists. This is how the majority of people live. Suppressing, denying, battling. The beach ball finally bursts to the surface with greater force than before. You can't keep forcing your way out of situations forever. The yearning never ceases to exist. The actual issue is not how to stop it, but rather how to comprehend it. The point at which things shift is right here. The next time you feel the urge, resist the urge to flee or retaliate. Simply pay attention. And ask yourself, what am I truly seeking right now? Is it comfort? Is it distraction? Is it love? This is the start of self-mastery. Watching the desire rather than letting it take over. You may be experiencing a tale in your head. Perhaps it's a sense of loneliness, fear, or missing out. Perhaps it's a voice telling you that you will never be free. However, you will see that you have created a hole, a space where you may make decisions. Most people never get this far. They are too occupied, too callous, and too terrified. Rather than face the possibility of discovering what lies behind it, they would prefer to remain in the dark. However, since curiosity is the first act of rebellion against the power of addiction, you have already started the trip. Jung thought that every addiction in shadow was an invitation. Your desire is begging. What have you refused to feel? What part of you needs to be heard, healed, or welcomed home? If you listen closely, the first step towards healing is not to wage war on yourself. It all begins with accepting your own wounds, wants, and forgotten aspirations. The majority will never do this. They will argue, fail, assign blame, and repeat the cycle. Those who stay and aren't afraid to delve further, though, discover something far more priceless than alleviation. They discover themselves. This video does not depict a miraculous recovery. It's all about a mirror, one that highlights the areas you've been avoiding. You may start writing a new tale if you can bring yourself to face them, even for a second. Stick with me because the next section will explore the actual technique that Jung employed to assist individuals like you in ultimately breaking the cycle. You will also learn the hidden truth that, if you are open to seeing it, may change everything. Don't click away and let your shadow prevail. The discovery is approaching faster than you might imagine. You're the unique if you've gotten this far. The majority of people live their lives trying to avoid discomfort, never pausing to consider the underlying causes of their desires. This condition was referred to by Jung as possession. I don't want to do this, you say when an internal force seems to be in charge and you are merely along for the ride. However, your habits, thoughts and hands still move. You're almost as though you're a stranger in your own body. Consider this. How many times have you made a solemn promise to yourself that you will never do it again, only to discover yourself drawn back to the same behavior as if by an unseen force? No one is free who is not master of themselves, the philosopher Epictetus said. However, Jung's brilliance lay in demonstrating that self-control is not about going against the grain. It's all about mastering the ability to read the currents that lie beneath. Addiction is more than just an action. It's a ceremony, the text of a play that you carry out when you are feeling lost, lonely, or overwhelmed. However, the majority of people never realize this secret. Every ritual is meaningful. Every habit is a hint. There is a reason why you desire the cigarette, the drink, or the never-ending scroll. Every time there is a stimulus, an event, a sensation, or a thought that makes the world seem either overwhelming or insufficient. Perhaps it's the stress of the day. Perhaps it's the tranquility before bed. Perhaps you're envious of someone else's success while you feel left out. The desire manifests itself as a source of solace rather than a directive. Let's not feel this way right now, it murmurs. Let's put it behind us. We should vanish. But what if you didn't flee, even for a second? As Jung would. What if you turned around and confronted the desire, asking, "Why are you here?" You might be taken aback by the response. It could be that you're more concerned with avoiding a particular emotion than with the item itself. Possibly loneliness. Perhaps it's the worry that you won't be enough. Perhaps it's the echo of a childhood wound that hasn't yet healed. Philosophy teaches us to ask questions, even if the answers are painful. We are given the bravery by psychology to stay with pain until it reveals what we need to know. You've heard it a million times. Maintain discipline. Use your willpower. However, the true secret is kept from you. It's possible to run out of willpower. Each time you resist, you're drawing from a well that will eventually run out. The well empties and the previous pattern reappears when you're worn out, anxious, or overwhelmed. The unconscious mind was likened by Jung to a large sea. You have a little ship called your conscious will. You will make no progress if you just concentrate on rowing harder. However, you can steer with a lot less difficulty if you know how to interpret the waves and predict the storms. The genuine talent is this: knowing how to recognize your habits without criticizing them. To consider the yearning as data rather than a failure. Details on what is lacking. Details on your actual desires. The enchantment of names was something Jung believed in. You can tame what you can name. Pause and give the urge a name the next time it occurs, rather than tensing up. It's anxiety. This is loneliness. The aspect of me that needs comfort is this one. Naming brings the desire out of the shadows and into the light, which might seem straightforward or even absurd. It has less power over you the clearer you see it. You start to alter the narrative when you can say, "I know why you're here." This is the meeting point between psychology and philosophy. As always, the aim is not to get rid of the desire, but rather to incorporate the missing piece of yourself, that is using the craving as a way to ask for assistance. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself. Completely wrote. The beginning of genuine healing is to embrace the need, not as the adversary, but as the voice of a hurt aspect. Begin with sincerity to achieve this. Resist the temptation to divert your attention. Don't be harsh on yourself. Ask yourself, what am I avoiding? What pain have I refused to feel? What hope did I give up on long ago? Rather than asking, what am I avoiding? What pain have I refused to feel? What hope did I give up on long ago? You can experience fear, sorrow, or even rage. It's all right. At this point, the majority of people give up and go back. They convince themselves that it's excessive. You get a little bit more of your power back each time you confront your shadow. In a single day, you won't be free. However, each time you raise awareness of your cravings, you weaken the shackles. Every moment of curiosity is a triumph over the old script. We are asked by philosophy to embrace the pain of uncertainty, to remain in the unknown, and to have faith that something new will develop. Patience is invited by Jung's psychology. Change does not occur instantly, but rather every act of awareness and every honest question lays the groundwork for the future. You begin to discover a new voice inside, a wiser one, as you learn to listen rather than flee, become insensitive, or divert. One that doesn't require shouting or threats. I see you, I know you're hurting, one reads, but you no longer need to flee. You're welcome to stay. Self-rest starts here. Jung referred to this as individuation, the process of attaining wholeness. Rather than removing the pieces you don't like, embrace them. The majority of individuals will never experience this sensation. They will miss the lesson as they seek solace throughout their lives. However, by remaining, you are already on the road less traveled. You may not yet feel at liberty. It's fine. However, liberty is not a moment. It's a procedure. It's the sum of 1,000 little acts of bravery. 1,000 times that you turn toward your suffering rather than away. The voyage goes on. The last step, which is covered in the following section, is how to utilize the energy of your cravings as fuel for change rather than self-destruction. You'll also learn the truth that Jung kept for his most courageous pupils. A truth that sees addiction as a lesson rather than a curse. Don't skip it because the final lesson is the one that transforms everything. The magic of desire. You have arrived to this point by asking difficult questions and exploring the secret chambers of your own mind. By this point, the majority of people would have clicked away due to the discomfort or the dread that nothing can be done. However, you remained. That has some significance. It means you're looking for more than just relief. You're looking for change. Carl Jung was not a fan of shortcuts. He had faith in alchemy. He considered life to be a process of converting lead into gold. It may be transformed by your awareness by melting it down and comprehending it, rather than by discarding the dark or heavy. Consider the desire, the need, the attraction to your prior behaviors. Every time it rises, it seems like a spark full of promise and vitality. The majority of individuals squander that energy by attempting to suppress it, flee from it, numb it, or feel guilty about experiencing it. The alchemist thought that any poison may be transformed into a cure if you knew the trick. But what if you learned to utilize that spark rather than trying to put it out? Jung believed that the raw material for your new self is your desire, your addiction. Converting poison into strength. It all begins with a change in mindset. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this feeling? How can I use its energy? Rather than asking, how do I get rid of this feeling? Energy is desire. It's the way the mind expresses that something is missing. There has to be movement. Don't waste the urge if you have it. Direct it. When you feel like you want a cigarette, use that moment as a reminder to take a deep breath, exercise, write down your thoughts, and create something, even if it's only a single honest sentence about how you feel. This is the distinction between intentional change and unconscious repetition. Even if you can't always prevent the urge from arising, you have a choice in how you respond to it. This habit gradually changes the way you think about yourself. Jung saw that individuals who broke free from addiction didn't simply give up. They substituted one ceremony for another, and one pattern for one that had greater significance. You must develop new practices, new methods for directing the energy that formerly fed your desires. Try pausing and feeling the ground beneath your feet instead of always reaching for your habit during stressful moments. Try keeping a journal of the one truth you're most afraid of confessing. If you used to shut out your thoughts before bed. Try going towards the pain for 60 seconds, naming it, breathing through it, and allowing yourself to experience it completely if you wish to flee from it. The instruments of transformation from shadow to self are tiny, conscious rituals. According to Jung, Life's goal is individuation, integrating every lost, rejected, or dreaded aspect of oneself into the process of becoming whole. Addiction reveals both the location of your wounds and the source of your greatest strength. Don't consider the shadow to be your adversary. It's the key to unlocking your untapped potential. You regain a little more of your power with each pause and confrontation of your urge. You start to be more yourself, more cohesive, and less divided. As a result, your identity gradually shifts. You are no longer the addict, the hopeless case, the person who cannot change. You transform into the alchemist, the observer, and the chooser. Someone who is able to tolerate suffering, yearning, and even fear while yet maintaining a sense of direction, a different identity. How do I know if I'm really changing, you may ask? The answer is not very exciting. It's serene. You see that the voice of shame is becoming less loud. You realize that you don't need to hide from yourself as much. You find yourself pausing, contemplating, and making decisions repeatedly. Your faith in yourself starts to develop, and that trust increases gradually, one little action at a time. The majority of individuals gauge change by major triumphs or winning streaks. Yet, in Jung's opinion, your willingness to be yourself honestly, day after day regardless of the circumstances, is what determines genuine change. The secret prize. The reward that most people don't anticipate is as follows. The path through addiction is more than simply giving up a habit. It's about learning to love yourself in a new way. You begin to understand that you are more capable of enduring pain, wiser than you previously believed, and stronger than you would have imagined. You no longer view yourself as damaged. You begin to think of yourself as courageous. I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become, Jung said. Your reality is that. The last obstacle is right now. You've already demonstrated that you're not like the majority of people, if you've watched this far. With curiosity, you're prepared to confront your desires, with compassion, your shadow, and with the desire to heal your wounds. Therefore, the last step is as follows. Use the impulse as a bell, a reminder to connect with your innermost self every time it reappears. Ask yourself, what do I really need right now? What does your spirit long for? Truth, meaning, connection, rest. Discover a little truthful method to treat yourself. Each time you do, the old pattern becomes less strong and the new one gets stronger. You are led to think you are trapped forever by addiction. The lie is there. In reality, you are constantly evolving, and every little step toward awareness is a triumph. You don't need to be flawless. All you need to do is continue to show up. You're not simply seeing a video if you made it to the conclusion. You are completing the task that the majority of individuals avoid for their whole lives. Keep that. You always had the freedom you were looking for, as Jung was aware. Just beneath the shadow, within the desire, and just on the other side of the dread. You will never let addiction win again, not after this.